Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here. Give me 1 second. Just working on the nut on the blue Chibson. Just got done filing everything down to give it some shape, and right now just polishing it up a little bit, getting some of the scratches from the files out. But I know I said I wasn't going to make another video today, but in my last video, but you know what? Hell with it. Why not? But this is not what the video is about. So stay tuned for this because I think I figured out some of this stuff about these Chibsons, and you know, it's just my own opinion about things. But stay tuned. Alright, so I've been kind of like binge surfing or whatever videos of Chibson guitars. You know, a lot of people that are out there who have bought Chibson guitars who are very happy with what they purchased or are very unhappy with what they got. And to me, it seems like it's a gamble. It's going to be a gamble if you're going to buy one of these Chibson guitars. But looking at reviews and other things, you can kind of get an idea of what you're in for and what you're going to get, and possibly the quality as far as you know, watching the videos. You're going to hear and see how other people play, and you know, get to understand a little bit more about explanations from everybody else about the guitar. You know, what they like, what they don't like, and whatnot. I don't agree with having a Gibson logo on a copy of a Les Paul, trying to be something that it actually isn't. But I think I understand why a lot of these guys are purchasing them the way they are, and the outcome that they experience, you know, good or bad, having something that is a copy of something else and having a logo on it to make it look like it's legit. It's wrong, but how many years has this been going on with other things like vehicles, motorcycles? You know, there are so many people that are copying everybody else, even though on some things they don't put their, you know, somebody else's logo on. Say like, you know, how many Kawasaki Vulcans are there out there that look like a Fat Boy Harley Davidson or a Softail Harley Davidson? They look like it. You can almost get them to sound close to it, but once you get up close and personal to it, you can tell right away. You'll find a Kawasaki logo someplace on the bike if they don't take off the badges off the tank. You know, I ended up doing that with mine when I had my Kawasaki. I removed the badges, changed out the pipes, did a few extra little things to it here and there, and it really sounded more like a Harley Davidson, and from a distance looked like a Harley rather than a Kawasaki. And again, with vehicles, you know, how many manufacturers out there that make kit cars? You know, cars that you could put, or body parts that you could put on top of other vehicles that do have, say, like a Viper logo. There used to be a kit out there that you could turn a certain year Corvette into a Viper. But, you know, again, you would have a Viper logo on the body panels, or the little peel and stick logos, the little chrome logos, whatever it is that you would put on the vehicle, the badges, to make it look like that it is actually a Viper or somebody else's car. And how many kit cars are there out there that are, you know, Lamborghinis with a Volkswagen engine, you know, shit like that. There's a lot of shit like that going on. So what makes a Chibson guitar any different from those guys? You know, it is illegal. It's not right to do so, but there are manufacturers out there that do this stuff. And I think I understand a little bit why these guys are buying the Chibsons. You know, if you saved your money, say you bought like 4 Chibsons or whatever, okay, you could have bought maybe a Les Paul from Gibson. You probably could have maybe bought a cheaper SG from Gibson. You know, you could have bought that Fender Strat. You know, these guys here, this one in particular, the one or the two that I have, this one and the one behind me, they were around, I think like they're $239, $249, something like that a piece. Okay, well, right there, you know, $500, or sorry, yeah, about 500 or better in change. And then I did something else, which yeah, it's sitting on this side over here, which I'll get to that in a minute. So by the time you buy 4 guitars or something, you could have bought a cheap Gibson or used one for that matter. You know, something that's already been broken in, something that already has, you know, maybe you like the vintage look as far as having relicing done to it. You know, it could have that already done to it. And you can get a halfway decent price if you hunt down. And a lot of you guys out there have done your hunting and shit like that. I know Big Baby Zip, he finds some good deals, and there's a lot of other guys out there that find good deals on a lot of these brand name guitars, not the Chibson versions of them. Do a little work to them, and you got something that is, you know, either a work of art that's playable, or, you know, in some cases something that is garbage. But nevertheless, by the time you spend the money on buying a Chibson guitar, and I've said this before plenty of times, you could have got yourself a real guitar, you know. But the thing about it is finding a company out there that can make these guitars close to being real, feel good, play well, and not have to do so much work to them like I've done to this blue one that I've got here in front of me. Now, this was by choice, okay? I didn't have to change out the tuners. I didn't have to change out the nut. I didn't have to change out the pickups. Could have left it alone, okay? Maybe I would have changed the nut and the tuners, but everything else I probably would have left alone. It was workable. It was usable. There was nothing really wrong with it. And in some cases, and I know this will be a argument, in some cases, some of these guitars that I've heard that were Chibsons were comparison with an actual Gibson guitar. And to be honest with you, it was very, very hard to tell the difference between which was a Gibson and which was a Chibson as far as how it sounded. Now, how it played, you know, how comfortable it was, how the neck shape was and everything else, they're getting very close to this. And I have to say that the blue one that I have, this custom Chibson, the neck feels very, very, very close to my actual Gibson traditional. And I think I understand why these guys are buying these now. It seems like, you know, if they can't have the real thing, this is like the next best, you know. And depending on who you go through, you can get some really good bones. And bones, I mean the body and the neck. And you're able to work with them. Change out what you want to change out. Put new pickups on there. Put new tuners on there. Change out the plastic nut to a bone nut. You know, these tuners don't cost much. The bone nut doesn't cost much. Hell, the bridge and tailpiece doesn't cost much. Pickups and electronics, on the other hand, that you can get possibly some good deals on, but they are a little bit pricey, especially if you go like what I did with EMGs with this one. But it's all custom. You can customize your Chibson however you want it. Again, I have to say I don't agree with these guys putting a fake Gibson logo on these guitars. What I really think these guys should do is brand them with their own brand name. You know, do something, you know, if they want to change the shape of the headstock a little bit. The body of the Les Paul is like very common with other brand names, ESP, you know, being one of them, and a few other companies that make Ibanez, you know, have made a Les Paul shaped body. They're all very, very close to each other. All right, maybe some things are a little bit different, but I really think these guys should brand these guitars with their own brand name, make something of themselves, because the bones of these guitars aren't bad. You know, for $239, $249, $269 off of eBay, you can pick yourself up a Chibson branded guitar. Well, Gibson logo, still a Chibson. And you can do whatever you want to it as far as customizations go, but you start off with a really good platform. At least the ones that I've gotten so far, I've been lucky compared to some of the other guys out there who went through AliExpress and have literally gotten screwed. And the guitar quality of the build and everything else is shit. And, you know, it's like, you know, you wasted your money. But I can see why these guys want them. I understand it now. After having some of them and putzing around with them, doing the upgrades on them, the feel of them, the look of them. Now, I have to say that the Chibson's guitars really pay attention to how these guitars look. All right, You may find some bleeding here and there on around the binding from the stain. You may find a little scratch. You may find a little spot where there's some glue or whatever. But the overall finish of the guitar, I mean, that's just minor shit that they could have taken care of. You know, that's detail work, all right? But as far as the detail work that's in the guitar itself, the final, I look up and down this neck and I don't see any filler around the inlays, which I am going to make a video. Basically, it's going to be a side to side of an actual Gibson and this guitar, the blue Chibson. Basically doing a thing where I'm having the camera scroll every angle of the guitar at the same time with a Gibson guitar, so you can kind of look to see at the same thing from one to another and see if there's any changes or anything that is like a flaw or something between either one. Now, I have noticed, like with Epiphone, all right, Epiphone pays a lot more attention to detail as far as their guitars go than Gibson does. Polishing, for instance, okay. Gibson doesn't do a very good job as far as wet sanding and polishing their guitars. Yeah, they have a nice shine to them and everything else, but when you get up and close to certain corners and everything else, you'll start seeing some orange peel, and you know, it looks like it was just overlooked, you know, trying to get the Gibson out the door so it could be sold to somebody or whatever. Epiphone pays a lot closer attention to detail as far as how their guitars look, as far as polishing and wet sanding and everything else. Chibsons do the same thing. They really pay attention to the outcome of the finish, how it looks. And I gotta say, you know, I gotta give them a thumbs up for that one, you know, in doing so. Now, I purchased another one of these guitars, another Les Paul. And this is supposed to be the Les Paul Blueberry Burst, okay? And from what I've seen in the photos of this guitar, again, the same seller on eBay. I haven't changed anything from anybody else. This time I got a case with it instead of just, you know, a free-floating guitar. And this is a guitar that, you know, well, if I would have saved my money instead of buying all these Chibsons, I could have bought, you know, the Blueberry Burst guitar. But I haven't found too many places where they're selling them brand new. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's 2016 stock or whatever, but nobody has it. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to do the same thing with the Blueberry Burst that I've been doing with this blue guitar, Chibson, and this Slash signature guitar. I'm going to end up doing a bunch of upgrades on that as well. Now, overall, if I were to tie up or add up, basically, tuners, nut, bridge, and the EMGs. All right, the EMGs were like, I want to say like $210 for the kit, for the setup. And that's both pickups with both wiring harnesses and everything else. Another, I don't know what it was. I think I got that switch for $10 or something like that, the three-way switch. It's in all parts. The nut, I picked up 2 bone nuts for Les Pauls. I believe it was somewhere around maybe another $10 around there. And then the tuners for this thing, the Grovers, I believe those were around like $49 or $60, somewhere around there for that. So with that in mind, plus the body of the guitar being say $49, I have to look. And that might be giving it a little bit extra. But you know, all in all, you know, what do I got tied up in this thing? Maybe $600 altogether. You can't buy a Gibson for $600 unless you buy something used, and even then, you're not going to get a, you know, you might get something that's beat up. Some of you guys out there may know how to fix things and stuff like that with guitars, and some of you guys don't. By the time you purchase a guitar and find at a place where for worth shit, and you send it to somebody else or give it to somebody else to repair it or do a fret leveling or something with it, then you're gonna have more money tied into it. You know, this one here, I really didn't have to do too much as far as the fret leveling goes. I really didn't have to if I didn't want to. It was playing pretty good without it. But I wanted to have a nice straight neck and everything else with it, so I ended up doing the fret leveling. And I'm going to do it with the other 2 that I have now too. So let's see what I ended up getting, the quality of the next Chibson that I ended up picking up. Be right back. Blah. Right? Something like that? Okay. Be right back. Alright, so here's the next Chibson. Let's go ahead and cut this puppy open. Well, it actually has a lock with a key. Leather strap. Not really a bumped out Les Paul, but case, but nevertheless. This company packs these guys pretty damn well. Patch cord. Allen key for the nut. Through all the years I've been messing with guitars, these are all the cheap patch cords. Am I driving you guys nuts with suspense yet? Well, I gotta say, the case is not bad. It's padded. It's not bad at all. It's got a lock on it as well. Alright, again with the cheap Grover tuners. From what I'm seeing so far, looks pretty good. Another plastic nut. This is a Les Paul standard. Wow. This thing is beautiful. Maple fretboard. Fake Gibson headstock. Fake Grover tuners, again with the USA serial number on it. The neck is a one-piece neck. Body looks to be like a one-piece body. Same bridge and tailpiece as the others. But I gotta say, flame maple veneer. These all have veneers. I'm not too sure about that one there. Well, there you have it. You know, I don't agree with the Gibson logo being on these Chibsons. I know a lot of you guys don't, but I kind of understand now why. You know, some of you guys out there really enjoy or want to have these Chibson, Gibson, Les Paul style guitars. They're beautiful. They actually look very, very nice. Although this factory here, the quality of their build is pretty good. It's not too bad at all. Although they do use cheap hardware, you know, cheap nuts, plastic nuts, shit like that. But all that is changeable. There you have it. Try to make this a little bit of a quick video. Probably going to do some editing to it a little bit here and there. But other than that, back to working on the blue guy over here. Take care all. Have a good one, and enjoy your weekends. Yeah.